Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Valle. I am the Associate Director with Imm Schools for New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And today I will be talking to you about our rights as immigrants. And I do want to note that this presentation does not constitute legal advice, and that is why we recommend consulting with a lawyer for your specific situation. We are only here to support and provide overall general information for our key learnings. And in addition, each case is different, and it is difficult to be able to determine exact information based on your situation, and would highly recommend reaching out to an attorney. So I know that many of us are a little bit hesitant or wary or wondering what our schools are doing to protect our children and ourselves as families as we are engaging in our schools. So before we do get started, I do want to make an important note that regardless of our immigration status, everyone living in the United States has rights, and this is under the Constitution of the United States. And by knowing these rights, we can protect ourselves, our families, and our neighbors. So it is very important for us to uphold these rights and utilize them as best as possible. So regardless of our immigration status and of our children, all of our students have the right to a K through 12 education, regardless of our immigration status. And this is under the Publc v. Doe federal policy. And this is still true to this day. So this means that under this federal policy, schools are prohibited from asking or requiring or even documenting a student's immigration status or of their families. So students are able to pursue their education without having to submit a social security number or any type of immigration documentation. So we urge schools to not ask for this information, so that way, our families feel comfortable in having their children in our schools. In addition to the Publc v. Doe federal policy that allows our students, our kids, to attend our K through 12 education, under FERPA, which is also another federal policy, it does protect our students and our families' information. So if an immigration officer or a law enforcement requests a student's record or request any family's information, whether it's their names, their addresses, or phone numbers, under this law, no one at the school, whether it's secretaries, security guards, or even educators, absolutely not. They should not be sharing any information of your families or of your children without a judicial warrant or without a consent of a family member. And although schools are no longer classified as safe havens or as safe spaces, schools are still safe spaces for our children, right? Schools are doing their own duty to protect our students in a K through 12 schools. So at Mastery Schools, there is a safe zone protocol that is protecting our students, and it does have guidance on what to do in the event that ICE agents do come to the school and who to call to carry on that conversation. So please continue sending your children to school, because it is very important that they continue to attend and continue to access their education. However, we do highly encourage families to stay informed, to stay up to date on, what is happening in the community and exercising the rights that we are about to get into as best as possible. And as a parent, you have every right to ask to your specific school at Mastery what those rights or what those protocols or what does that safe haven plan look like for your particular school where your children is attending, so that you are aware of what that plan looks like and who is in charge of facilitating conversations in the event that an ICE agent or a law enforcement agent is attempting to go into the school. And as we are building our trust and deepening our trust with our families, it is important for us to also know and utilize the resources that are available that Mastery has built for our immigrant communities. And here, as you all are watching this video, there are other videos as well and other resources such as legal counsel, local resources that can support other necessities in the community that are trusted by us, that have been referred by our organization and Mastery Schools as well. In addition to ensuring that our immigrant communities and us as families feel supported, and as I mentioned earlier, that Mastery has adopted a safe zone plan. This is just an example of one of our Mastery high schools here in the area where they have been communicating their plan to our families in multiple languages of what that safe plan will look like for their particular school, as well as important contact information for other community organizations, faith-based organizations, and also legal support. And part of Mastery Safe Zone resolution is to protect students' privacy under the FERPA federal policy. The school will never ask about a student's immigration status and will keep the student's information private. In addition to that, limited contact with immigration officials. So if an immigration official is asking for the student's information at Mastery, at any Mastery school, the school will carefully review the request and only share information when legally required or if a judicial warrant is shared. Safe and welcoming schools is part of Mastery's goal to ensure that all of our students feel safe and feel welcome at home, regardless of their immigration status. Continuous support for our immigrant students to ensure that they feel protected and they thrive academically, and provide all of the necessary resources so that their families succeed. So as we are feeling comfortable and safe in our schools and ensuring that we are asking our schools what that plan looks like, we also have to acknowledge and understand the rights at home, right? In the comfort of our home, at any given point in time, we have to ensure that we are exercising our rights in case if an ICE agent is knocking at our doors, ensuring that we do not open the door at any time. It is our home, it is our private home, and by opening the door, we are allowing ICE agents to come in. It is a form of welcoming as if we do open the door. And it is also very important us as families to communicate this information to our young children, right? To letting them know, do not open the door for anybody until you let me know who's in front of the door, and then I will open the door if needed. So it is very important that we also communicate these rights to our children so that they too can exercise them, whether they are at home or in other areas. In addition to not opening the door, you have every right to ask for a judicial warrant that is signed by a judge. Do not show them anything, any documents from your home country, or share any information about your immigration status. It is also very important to not provide any false information or any false documents, and do not sign any documents that they do provide, or if they are requesting for your signature, do not sign anything and ask to speak to an attorney, letting them know I have the right to remain silent. I have the right to not sign this document until I speak to my immigration attorney. And if an ICE agent is continuing to knock on the door or is becoming a little bit more aggravated or is using force, you have every right to record the event. If you have another family member, preferably a family member who may have residential status or citizenship, have that person, that designated person, to record every activity that is happening at your home, outside your home, so that you have that proof of evidence that an ICE agent is trying to enter your home without a judicial warrant and is violating your rights. And here is an example of a judicial warrant and an administrative warrant. So as I mentioned, it is important for us to ask for a judicial warrant at any point. An ICE agent does not have the authority to make an arrest without this document, without a judicial warrant, whether it's at your school, in public, or at your home. So a judicial warrant, the first and foremost, the first thing to notice is it is issued by a United States District Court at the very top. That is here on displaying on the screen. The second thing is to ensure that the date is dated for the date that they are at the facility or at your home, and also the time frame is the same time frame that is that the ICE agent is at the facility. The third thing is ensuring that your name is spelled correctly. If your name is spelled with a Z, but it's with an S, that is legitimate, that is automatically a false judicial warrant or an uncredited judicial warrant. And lastly, if the warrant is signed by a judicial judge. So that is 4 things to look for when it comes to a judicial warrant issued by a district judge for an arrest. And to my right is an administrative warrant that is usually issued by the United States Department of Homeland Security and signed by an official ICE agent or by a local law enforcement agent. So understanding our rights in our homes, it's our private home, right? We have every right to not open the door, but what if we are in public? We are taking our kids to school, picking them up, walking in public, or driving our vehicles, and perhaps, entering any public spaces. So if an ICE agent does come up to us or a police officer, please remain calm, do not run, and do not answer any questions about your immigration status. So that is very important. You have the right to just say your name, but as soon as they start asking for your immigration status, you have every right to say, I have the right to remain silent, and I will not answer any questions about my immigration status. If asked, as I mentioned, provide your name. You don't have to provide any more information, as well as don't provide any false information, ensuring that you carry a local or a state ID if you can, or any documents that are from your current residency in the United States. As I mentioned, do not sign anything without speaking to an attorney. And if you are being arrested or detained, ask if you are free to leave and immediately contact your attorney. So it is important for us to continue to exercise our rights and also access basic necessities, right? Our rights in public spaces also pertain to our rights at hospitals. So if hospitals are asking about our immigration status, it is important for us to not answer that information, right? As nurses and doctors are only there to serve and are only there to support our health care. And you can always say, I prefer not to answer that question. And there are no legal consequences for failing to answer about your immigration status. So hospitals they cannot deny any medical care if you wish to not answer their question about your immigration status. So you have every right as well to acquire an interpreter if needed at that moment. So what happens if you do get detained by an immigration officer? You also have rights during this process. You have every right to make a call and receive visits from your lawyer or from your local consulate and your family. Immediately call an attorney to represent you. As I mentioned, in the Mastery's websites, there are local attorneys, trusted attorneys, that you are able to access if you don't have an attorney. Your family can find you where you are detained. So there is this website and also a phone number in front of us that we can call to locate a family member in the event that we haven't heard from them in the day or a couple of days. So folks who are detained have every right to ask for a bond. So they are local resources, local organizations in the state of New Jersey and in Philadelphia that could provide bond assistance in the event that if a family member cannot afford. Another thing that we would like to mention, in addition to exercising your right to remain silent, not signing anything, and the right to act as an immigration attorney, is the right to carrying your documents. And this is to the new executive order of expedited removal expansion, which prior to this executive order, this was when ICE arrest a person. Usually that individual had the chance to see an immigration judge and they had the right to process. The expedited removal now allows for the government to quickly deport someone they believe to be undocumented without seeing a judge. However, with the expedited removal, these are for folks who have been in the country for less than 2 years, dating from January of 2025. So that would be entering the country of January 2023. So if you entered the country within that time frame, this will apply to folks for the expedited removal. However, we know that the expedited removal, with this process, you are still able to make a call to your immigration attorney or to a family member, and you are still able to notify them that you have been detained, regardless if you have been here for less than 2 years or not. So the government has said that it plans to use this expedited removal anywhere in the country. So before, it was where folks lived 100 miles within the borders, whether it's from the Pacific Oceans, the Gulf, or the border. But now it is applicable to all of the folks who have been here for less than 2 years anywhere in the United States. So that is applicable to the state of PA and New Jersey. And what we recommend for folks who have been here for less than 2 years to avoid, or for folks who've been here for more than 2 years to avoid falling under this expedited removal expansion, is to carry copies of evidence that you have been living in the United States for longer than 2 years. So we encourage family members to ask for enrollment forms that date 2 years back from January of this year, report cards or any documents that can prove enrollment of your child and your residency in the United States, or any certificates from churches or from religious congregations or a signed lease. Making copies of those documents and having it in your vehicles or having it in your wallet if you can, or in your purses. So carrying you this evidence of lawful entry as well of your current status. So if you do have a TPS visa or any sort of visa or a current status that is protecting you at this moment, please make copies of those and carry it with you at all times. In addition to this, we also have this resource in the Mastery's website. You can also ask your school if they do have red cards, and these are available in multiple languages: Portuguese, Haitian, Creole, French, Burmese, Arabic, and in Spanish. So with these cards, what they will help us is when we do encounter an ICE agent, we can let them know, I have the right to remain silent. Show them the red card, and they are aware of your constitutional rights. So this can halt the process of an altercation or an arrest or a deportation, and this has made it more difficult for ICE agents to make arrests because we are aware of our rights and we are exercising these rights with precaution. In addition to knowing our rights in public, in our homes, and in our schools, another thing to look out for are our state and local policies that support us, that could support our livelihoods, and in addition to some of the documents that we may be acquiring. So in the state of New Jersey, our families, regardless of immigration status, and even our youth as well, in the state of New Jersey, we have every right to obtain a professional and occupational licenses. So what this is that it removes the requirement for asking for a social or for any work permits, regardless of our status. So licenses for occupations such as therapists, medical aid, nurses, even doctors, as well as plumbers, any hands-on technical training as well. So any career that requires a license of practice, undocumented folks are able to obtain it and exercise that career. In addition to the occupational licensure is the New Jersey's driver's license. So this expands access to qualified drivers regardless of their immigration status. And in addition to that is a NJ Cover All Kids, which grants access to undocumented youth under the age of 19. And in the city of Philadelphia, there are a couple of executive orders that are still true to this day. So the first one is that the first executive order since 2009, it makes it clear that city officials do not work or collaborate with ICE agents. So all city workers, anyone that is working under the city of Philadelphia, so that includes firefighters, public servants, hospitals, other social services that are employed by the state, are prohibited from asking about your immigration status. So if you are in a situation or in these government or city facilities and are being asked for your immigration status, you have every right to call the Attorney General for the city and make a letting them know that this individual is asking for immigration status. And in the second executive order from 2016 is the mayor's executive order that prohibits local cities police to hold folks for ICE deportation. So this means that if a family member gets stopped or has passes a stoplight or red light, has a traffic violation, and a police officer stops that individual, they ask for documentation. One thing leads to another. Absolutely, at any point, they cannot hold that individual for an ICE pickup. So that collaboration is prohibited in the city of Philadelphia. Now, I do want to note that this is only for the city of Philadelphia, not for the entire state of Pennsylvania. So if you are hearing or you have experienced that where an ICE agent has held you for an ICE pickup or a family member close to you living in your same home, you have every right to reach out to local organizations and even the Attorney General's office and letting them know that this has happened, so that that way folks are tracking this unlawful activity. And being proactive and having a plan is very important during this time. It is crucial that we understand who is in our community that we trust. Having this plan of emergency and communicating it with our schools is also very important. Updating our records at our schools is something that we should proactively do. And why it's important for us to have an emergency plan is that we don't want to think about the worst, but it is very important to have, a plan in situations where we find ourselves in an ICE raid or deportation process. So having the right documents can avoid legal problems as well as keeping our children safe from going to Child Protective Services or DCPMP for New Jersey child welfare system that takes children without our guardians. So the first step is to create a folder of each family member. So if we have more than one children, it is very important for us to have documents, certificates, social security numbers, if they do have one, copies of all of that information, passports for each child and for ourselves as well. Any bank information, ITIN numbers, medical records as well on a folder and having one folder per family member. Write down and memorize numbers is so important because in the event that we don't have our phones or a phone gets broken or taken away for any reason, it is important for us to memorize at least 3 numbers of emergency so that we can call once we have the opportunity to make that phone call if we do get detained. So highly encourage for you to memorize 2 emergency contacts and your attorney, immigration attorney, and assign that emergency contact to pick up your child from school and letting your teachers know who that emergency contact is so that they are aware and are able to release your child to that person's hands. Write down and share your plan is very important. Share your plan not only with the school, but with your attorneys, with your children as well. We need to have these conversations with our children so that they know and not be scared when that time does come. If something happens to you, we need to make sure who is authorized to legally take care of our children. We recommend having a legal guardianship so that person can have legal custody of our children, whether it's somebody that we trust or a family member as well that we trust. So step 3 is placing all of our documents and a plan in a hidden location where it's accessible, and talking to our family is very important about this plan and ensuring digital privacy by disabling our facial recognition from our phones, right? Because there's been instances where folks are getting arrested, and there could be a situation where an ICE agent can force your face to open or unlock your phone. So by unlocking it or having a PIN can prevent ICE agents or any law enforcement entering or accessing your information from your phone. And this is an example of a power of attorney, legal guardianship. So as I mentioned, is very important to have this plan filled out by any attorney. So a legal guardianship or power of attorney does not necessarily have to be filled out with an immigration attorney. It can be any attorney, but it does have to be notarized in order for this document to function and for this legal guardianship to work. And also on the Mastery's website, we do have examples of family emergency plans, which we have here displayed in front of us, where we can fill out all that important information of documents and our information of contacts, emergency contacts and such. And I know that there has been a lot of anxiety in the community of potential raids, possible raids. Misinformation is really driving that anxiety up in our community. So it is very important for us to identify what an ICE agent looks like versus a local law enforcement. So I do want to note that ICE agents do have different tactical uniforms, right? They can be dressed as regular folks in the community, but they are driving specific vehicles that we can also identify, which I will go into the next slide. However, we are sharing here some photos of what to look for with an ICE agent. They usually have short little black vests with regular jeans, pants, regular shirts, where it says ICE, flat out ICE or HSI or police ICE. And as we see on the next photo is police officers with their normal police tactical, I'm sorry, with their police uniforms, and knowing that if we are in close proximity with ICE agents, we can also see their badges, which they can have them around their waist or on the side of their pockets, and seeing their badges where it says ICE, Special Agent, or U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So if we see the little eagle, right, and we see federal or U.S. Department, Homeland Security, that is an ICE agent versus a local police badge, right? We say police officer, police sheriff, and then the state or maybe the name of the city of the police officer. And as I mentioned too, it is also important to know the differences between the vehicles that ICE agents are driving around in our communities. We have seen this where they are just driving around, scaring the community, and folks immediately think that it's a raid. Usually they're just driving around and creating fear. But when we do see a large group of ICE agents coming out of that vehicle and going into facilities, that's when we should be worried, right? But if we just see them driving around, still practice with precaution, right, our rights, but this is the vehicles to look for. Usually Customs Border Patrol agent is driving white with green vehicles. We haven't seen those much in the East Coast, but we have seen much so of the ICE vehicles, which have navy blue on each side. It could be an SUV, a car, a four-door car, or a truck. And another thing to look for is if the cars may be all in black, but looking at the license plates, if the license plates are federal agent or federal government officer, that is something to look for as well. And we have every right, regardless of our immigration status, to record any activity that we may be going through. If an ICE agent is approaching us and is not respecting our rights, or a police officer as well, under the First Amendment, we have every right to start recording. If we get threatened that we will get arrested, if we continue to record, we have every right to cross the street or to move a little bit further to continue the recording, or asking someone else that is there that we trust or that we may know to support us with that recording. And also save any photos or recordings to our cloud in case that, you know, our phone gets confiscated during the altercation or during the arrest, and we have access to that. So that way, if it does get deleted, it is saved under the cloud, or, you know, we can also send it to someone from that we trust, a family member or one of our children. And another tool as well is this app that we encourage folks to download. It's called notifica.us. It is available in Spanish and in English. So this serves as, it gives, it's like a help button and alerts key contacts if we encounter a law enforcement agent, or if we encounter a possible deportation or a possible situation where ICE is taking place. So these alerts are designed to inform family members right away and our legal attorneys as well and other contacts, and sending that message that you are in the risk of being detained or in the risk of being deported, or you have been deported by ICE agents. Another very important thing, I know that most of us may be reaching out to attorneys, getting our documents ready as soon as possible, and having all our ducks in a row, but it is crucial for us to be aware of scams. It is a very sad thing, and we have seen this within our own communities, right? Our own communities scamming each other. So we want to make sure that we are aware of that. The things that we look out for is unrealistic promises, being wary of anyone promising or guaranteeing fast results or fast visas or green cards in a short time frame, especially if it sounds too good to be true. High pressure tactics. So if you feel pressure to make a decision immediately or being told that you need to act fast to avoid deportation or other negative consequences, possibly a scam. Unconventional payment methods. So legitimate immigration lawyers will typically accept a payment through standard methods like credit cards or checks or online payment platforms. So if someone is demanding to be paid cash or a gift card or a wire transfer, please proceed with caution and just practice that mindfulness. Fake immigration officials, so scammers may pose as officers from the U.S. Citizenship Immigration Services, so that is the CIS, I'm sorry, or other government agencies, claiming you need to make an immediate payment to resolve an issue. So also looking out for notaries or notarios, what we call them in Spanish. So being cautious of any legal claims, experts without proper credentials. So notaries are typically not authorized to practice immigration law. So always remember that notaries are not lawyers, but lawyers could notarize. So just be aware of that. Fake websites, any websites. So this is also very important that I've seen in the community a lot, where folks have been asking us, is this website legitimate? They're offering free consultation for fast visa processing, but it is not the USCIS website that I just mentioned, which is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is a government website. That is the only website in which you can transmit your documents for visas or for any other status that we are trying to get. Threats of deportation. So if someone threatens to report you to the authorities or intimidate you for deportation, it is most likely a scam. Also employment-related scams. So scammers may make promises that they will promise you a job or promise you a work visa in exchange for fees. These offers may be fraudulent or lead to exploitation. And lastly is unrealistic job offers and, offering jobs that are too good to be true and requiring you or demanding you to pay fees upfront. And how to protect yourself is verifying the credentials. It might take some time, right? But it is better safe to be sorry or to lose out a lot of money when we could be verifying credentials using official resources like the actual government's website, which is the USCIS, being wary of unsolicited calls or emails, avoiding quick fix solutions, right? We know that we want support at a fast response, but also knowing that all of our trusted immigration lawyers are also, they have a wait list and everything is taking time now just because of the demand. So just please avoid quick fix solutions. Be skeptical of anyone promising you expedited processes for your case. Seek advice from reputable resources. So consult with a qualified immigration attorney. And as I mentioned, we do have a list of those contacts on the Mastery's website. And report these scams. So it is very important for us to report these scams. It does not affect our immigration status, or no one will know who is reporting this. We just want to help out the community and making sure that they don't scam the next person. And in summary, so I hope that we all have been taking notes, but just a few things for us to remember is that you have the right to remain silent, ask for a judicial court order signed by a judge. You have the right to take your children to school. Please take your children to school. Do not sign anything without the support of an immigration attorney, and have an emergency plan and communicate that plan with your family and your school. And here are some emergency important contacts here, which are also in the Mastery's website. And I encourage us to reach out to our local consulates. If our local consulates of our country of origin is not in Philadelphia or in New Jersey, please call one of these that may be close to us, and they can connect us with the nearest one. Or other consulates that may be up in New Jersey or in New York are more than open to supporting anyone who is from that country, regardless of where we are geographically. And thank you for watching, and please take care.